March 13th, 2025, here at the District Education Services Center, Conference Room E. Remote hybrid conferencing meeting is available, broadcast by the county channel. To speak during the Finance Committee public comments, please sign up using the public comment form. You can find the Board of Education public comment form on our website, which is https://www.beaufortschools.net/about-us/ed/public comments. You will receive a call during the public comments where you will be able to speak and address the committee for a maximum of 3 minutes on issues within the committee's domain. The forum will be limited to 15 minutes. Citizens desiring to participate must fill out a public comment card that can be obtained from the board clerk upon arrival. With that, is there a motion for approval of the agenda?
I move that we approve the agenda.
So moved.
Oh, thank you, Ms. Hay. All right, I vote all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Okay.
Hey,
Thank you, Ms. Hay. Ms. Gordon, thank you. All right, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, public comments. We have Mr. Jim Miller of Bluffton, who is going to give us a band update. Mr. Miller.
Yeah, just briefly, you all are new to the committee, but your board members have been, well, I've been advocating, if that's what you want to say, for some time. So you know, kind of my background, et cetera. And the discussion was that it was kind of referred to the finance committee because it involved personnel. And so that's the reason I kind of want to update everything that I know. You know, things that I shouldn't know, et cetera, but I just kind of wanted to update. One thing that is and things are progressing. I'm basically happy. I have spots here and there. I'm still investigating, but basically I'm happy. One element that I don't know if you all are aware of, because you may not have to vote on it, but it's my understanding that the band directors of the high school, their contract is being revised or has been to include 10 more days of work because of band camp that starts before school. The middle school band directors, they are getting 5 days. So again, I didn't know if you were, that's hearsay to me, but that's my understanding. And I didn't know if you folks knew that. And the other thing is that there are in some instances where a high school band director feels that their feeder school or middle school is providing a little less than desirable help, or you know, the students are coming into high school without much background as they'd like. In some instances where that is occurring, apparently principals are working out a situation that a high school band director will have one less hour in her high school and go to a feeder school to help. So some of those things are helpful. I'm all for it. However, from a taxpayer, oh, there's the clock. I won't say it then. I'm happy to see that occurring.
Thank you very much, Mr. Miller.
You're very welcome, and I appreciate all you have done and are doing, but I will continue to see you.
You're always welcome, sir. Always. Appreciate your tenacity.
Can you ask who is on the iPhone?
Yes, who is on the iPhone? Okay, I guess no one's manning the iPhone.
So I'm going to disconnect them.
That's fine, do it.
Okay.
Okay. All right, Madam CFO.
The first item on the agenda, well. or anything like that? No. Okay, so first item on the agenda is the board monthly budget report. We have a 3-page report for you this afternoon. Standard reporting, providing the salaries, benefits, and all of the services and supplies used by the Board of Education. No, nothing significant to point out. Everything is basically standard information. I would say that one of the larger expenses in this budget is the auditing services that I'm directly connected with. The audit is complete and has been fully billed for the last fiscal year, but we do have some remaining expenses. The auditors do come back on site and online, looking at doing preliminary field work for the next year's audit, the fiscal year 25's audit. So in the spring, so in May, June timeframe, we'll be getting additional billing, which will still be well within the budget that's available at this time. Let's see, travel is another area. We're well underspent in those areas. We do understand that there will be some additional meetings to be covered in the next few months through the end of the fiscal year. And there is, as board members travel to various city and civic organization meetings, and there's plenty of funds in this budget to accommodate that. We have also technology purchase services on the third page. A budget of $77,000, 7,000 of that 7,000 is on the Diligent or community software system that we house the board documents and the board meetings. So that bill is paid. What's remaining there is any billing from this county channel, the Beaufort County channel. So we'll likely be reaching out to them in the near future to request any progress billing that they've had so far, and just the timing of that, so we make sure that that cost is incurred. It has been incurred, but it is compensated in this budget year. And finally, then the only other maybe area of note is the organization membership dues. That's a $53,000 budget. And the majority of that cost is to our, to SCASA, our School Board Association dues, but also houses the administrative rules and policies on our website. So they administer and monitor the placement of our policies on our website through that cost as well. So overall, 44.6% used. And so we're well under budget at this time of year, so we should be fine to cover any costs that will be incurred through the remainder of the year.
Ms. Day, do you have any questions at this point?
I do not, sir. I'll raise my hand if I do. Thank you.
Yeah. Ms. Gordon? Any questions?
There was a question that I had. It was on the first page.
Oh, yes, dental insurance. What does that mean?
That would be dental
That's for
insurance
you?
on Ms. Cushionberry.
Okay. All right. I didn't know if that was us or, okay.
Right.
All right, thank you.
Okay, Mr. Smith?
I noticed that, I guess, you used to break it down by every board member. I guess we wouldn't really doing it anymore.
We did that at the top in the salary category. There's 11 districts there, so that was
Right.
broken down in their salaries. And then in the travel as well, and the board meeting stipends. All of those are districts numbers.
Okay, right.
And then the 12 and the 13 represent the administrative staff in the office. Ms. Cushionberry and the other position that we have currently vacant. If there is no project code, that's a generic code that we use for the whole group. And then we'll reclassify. For example, out-of-state travel, there's no allocation given specifically to every board. We'll just put it at the no project level, and it's not distinguished between any district. And then we'll reserve that funding for any out-of-state travel that board members attend, and then we'll shift it over into those categories, into those districts.
I made a couple of questions. In the tech purchase services and licensing, with Diligent, is there, still capacity to inquire Ms. Cushionberry about more training for people on Diligent?
I'm sorry, I'm trying to suggest, what did you say?
Okay, so on tech purchase services and license, we've only spent, what about, 10%? And of course, licensing, and then there's another item that's in here. But if there's any space left under our Diligent contract that we can schedule more training for our colleagues, then that would be something we want to highlight as a takeaway item. So we can become proficient and hopefully, be even better equipped.
That was Dick who was on the iPhone, so I'm trying to get him back in.
Okay, no problem. All right, and then on organization dues. Madam CFO, I think you explained that the SCASBA, they do that for all districts?
Yes, sir. It's offered to all districts as a membership. Not every district. I'm not sure if every district participates and has a membership with School Board Association or SCASA. But they are offered, everyone in the state is offered a membership through that organization.
I think in SCASBA, it's about 65 out of the 73. So just so people can understand that. All right. Any other questions or comments? You okay, Ms. Hay?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay.
Next item is the transparency report. It is 38 pages. I think it's only 38 because it's so small. So it's a little hard to read, but we provide this each month, and then it's also already displayed on our website. This is for the month of January. It is a requirement from the state that we put a transparency report. Ours is much more detailed than is required by the state. So if there are any questions on this report, I'm happy to take them. And I have lots of assistants today to help me navigate those answers.
I'm not sure why it printed this small. We had made it a little bit larger, so in the future, I will offer my assistance to get larger print for the finance committee meeting.
Sounds good. Now, do you want to speak about the color-coded chart?
We can certainly do that. Yes, sir.
Is that okay?
Mhm.
Now, good time or later?
Now it's fine. So I'll just start, maybe turn it over to Ms. Phillips. So Cindy Phillips is our Director of Internal Controls, and after our last meeting, I asked her to do some research with AI and any other models that we might find across the country. She's looked at a few other school districts that we often look to when tasked with a new strategy or a new model or a new formula of some sort, particularly a lot in the budgeting area. Like, for example, came up with a few different models or few different things we were looking for, staffing models, for example, with Prince William School District in Virginia or Fairfax, Virginia. With the ESSA reporting, I found a great report from Hawaii that has a school, statewide school district. So we often look to other entities, states outside of ours to look to see if they've already, we don't want to recreate the wheel if we don't have to, but we're really looking for something very modernized, very visual for the board, but also very in tune with the goals that you have of what you really want to see, what you're looking for. And so we did a lot of research. Ms. Phillips did a lot of research, and we had a few roadblocks because of some accessibility. We only have a couple of one particular AI platform that we're allowed to use inside of the school district, which is Copilot. Anything outside of that is prohibited by the school district for privacy reasons and other reasons. So I'm not the expert in this area. I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Phillips to expand on what challenges we may have faced. And we did actually come up with at least one chart that provides some good information in a visual way that can help us target or pinpoint areas that may have had large variances. And then we can provide explanations for that. So I'm going to turn it over to her to just give a brief explanation of what work we've done. And I'll follow up at the end about what our next steps are.
So I want to preface this with, I'm not an AI expert, but I am an avid researcher. So I reached out to the talent that we have in the district to get the best people involved to find the best way to data mine this massive data that we have. Copilot is the only robust AI platform that we have access to as a district. The others that might be more robust are not palatable because as we put our data out, even if it's public data, as transparency report is, that data helps to build the AI brain. And our technology department is very conservative and protective of the school district in that way. So we did, I did find several different charts that might help to take a massive amount of information and communicate it in a more easy way for the public to understand where our major variances are. There are many different ways to tell a story. So the idea is to find a chart that tells the story in the most simplistic way so that anyone who looks at it can understand what we're trying to communicate. We'll keep using those models to come up with at least one or two methods to communicate the transparency report in a simpler way.
If I may speak to that, because I was privy to a first run. It is visually it allows us to manage by exception. So when you look at this report at 38 pages and micro print size, you have to go online to actually be able to understand what's happening. And you want to make it so that any person who is interested in the financials or other numerical values knows that if it's outside of a certain range, it's automatically going to be highlighted so that we can look at it deeper. All the reports that are now presented at this point will remain accessible, covered in meeting. So if someone has a question, but it's doing a new type of reporting, which is variance-based, rather than going line by line, we want the software and the AI to highlight for us when it's beyond the you can always close that range as tight as you want it. If it's 1 cent above budget or target or last year, you can highlight that. Or if you say, I'm gonna give a 1% cushion there, just so your leadership and you folks who on staff who have so much expertise, you're driving right to the area where you need to focus. All right, trying to economize your time as well. And so I've been very impressed by what I saw yesterday. So if others join, if Colonel Geyer's not on,
It's not, He's not able to get on.
Oh, wow, okay. So we'll express this at the April 8th board meeting so that the entire board knows what you're doing and maybe a sample of the blue chart, the color coded heat map that I saw. And kudos to you for jumping on that so quickly. Now, secondly, are there any variances on this report that any of you have seen that we should be discussing? Ms. Hay?
Yes, sir. First of all, that report was very tiny. I definitely used Diligent to go through it line by line so that I could magnetize, all the information and walk through it. But on the AI front, I just wanted to say thank you to the team for running with my suggestion. You may have already done this. I would be curious what the state of California is using and Texas, since that's where our software engineers and things are all hubbed from. So I would think those states would have the most cutting edge AI implemented if anybody was going to have a great implementation. But again, that may be something you've already looked at. And I just appreciate you guys running with this, digging in, and I do think it will be beneficial in the future. So thank you.
And kudos to you, Ms. Hay, for bringing forward suggestions. I found that to supplement your comments, this team is very responsive to suggestions and ideas for improvement. So please keep them coming along with Gordon and Mr. Smith and anyone else involved.
No question.
Yes, sir.
So understanding this, so you saying that y'all are changing up the report?
No, what we're saying is you still are going to get this report. Okay, that's still going to be there. In the, what we're going to introduce is a visual map, visual report that directs you very quickly to where the variance is. Anything not hitting the tolerances that we've established and the board approves will be elevated, and then we'll get a lot more detail, more discussion. All right. Okay. Next one.
Monthly $100,000 report. There is a consolidated and a detailed report for you. Any major variances? We do have explanations with school locations that are affected by the changes. I think MBCon was one of the largest change, and that's due to the heavy levels of construction we have going on currently. The current fiscal year, we're rounding up the ends of Battery Creek High School. There is work happening at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 schools this year, as opposed to 2 last year, with the largest expense being at Hilton Head High School. So since we hit the ground running after the referendum, if you've been by there lately, you will see why this number is $4 million. Steel has been erected to the 3-story building. That is a point in the construction process that is the most expensive when we see steel going up, being delivered and going up. So that is the primary reason for this major change in MBCon. And when we did a sample of our heat map that we mentioned earlier, this one was at the top of that scale, and because of the difference in the level of construction going on, the amount of construction going on during this fiscal year. So that's just one example, but I'll be happy to take any questions you all have on this report.
Ms. Hay?
I do not. Thank you. Everything seemed to be in order.
Thank you, ma'am. Ms. Gordon?
No, great report, thank you.
Mr. Smith?
Yeah, yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. Beaufort Jasper Sheriff Office. Well, what are we using their services for?
SROs, school resource officers.
Jasper County Sheriff Office?
No.
Jasper, yes.
I believe that is a typo. That I don't know why it auto-filled there. That should be Beaufort Jasper Sewer Water, not Beaufort Jasper Sheriff's Office. Thank you for pointing that out. before the two got merged. I will look right now and see what occurred there.
Detail.
Yeah, I'm gonna find that right now.
And, I do also notice, while you're looking that one up, I see the, Bud, group and, I'm wondering, well, not wondering, I'm guessing that that is some of the people who do, the, maintenance, the maintenance in the school district.
Custodial.
I mean, ask custodial, okay, ask custodial. So therefore, we only have this one group that I see, there's a landscape group, what was that? There's a Bright View Landscaping. Is that the only landscaping services that we have in the district?
No, there's Brightview and the Greenery, and the Brightview does solely the athletic fields, while Greenery and Brightview split non-athletics fields. Or
Right.
grounds, I should say.
And in the process, because that's someone asked me, and I thought it was a kind of a question I couldn't answer. Mr. Chairman, you mind?
Yeah.
How do we, in terms of these contracts with the landscape companies, how do we verify how much work they're doing and when they're like who submit those bills? How does that work?
I can answer the financial side and the contractual side, but the contract monitoring is taken care of by facilities and operations. And they benchmark their work and their schedule based on, oh my gosh, testing, winters, school breaks, everything, all that goes into consideration. But we issue a solicitation for services, like we're required for any contract services over 100,000 that are not exempt. Then we go out for bid, get proposals, team puts together, evaluate the proposals, the committee makes a selection. We bring that selection to the board. And if the board approves, then we issue our intent to award through a protest period and then sign contracts with them based on that.
And I'm talking more on the pay period in terms of how do they get paid in terms of monitoring it. Like I can tell you, I'm going to cut grass maybe 6 times at Robert Smalls Middle School. Do I give you a check? I mean, do I send you submit your bill every time I'm out there, or is it as a contract? You expecting me like more of that?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I think what you alluded to earlier, Mr. Smith is asking a valid question. It was discussed in operations.
Mhm.
Remember, I think they said that there are clocks where they're watching some of the cameras on the wall and determine when people are going in and out. But what he's asking for, which is appropriate, is how do we confirm people are doing what they're doing? So let's move that to the operations group.
Okay.
In detail.
Okay.
Okay.
Sure.
Thank you. Have you hear that conversation? You okay? And Ms. Boyd, you hear something?
Yes, I'm.
Yes, sir. I'm good. Thank you.
All right. Anything else on this report? Because I do have.
Yes, sir.
One of the things that, Madam CFO and I discussed is, I think for the magnitude of these numbers, we're gonna need a narrative page. So you and your team have done an excellent job of identifying the locations. Now, it's maybe 1 or 2 pages of where we see these variances. Just explaining a little bit detail to answer the questions before they're asked. Is that okay?
Yes,
Everybody okay?
I can't read small print, so I'm.
Okay. All right, man, thank you. Hear our recommendation? You okay with that?
Yes, I did.
Okay. All right. Any other questions regarding the transparency report? Or was that the $100,000? $100,000, sorry. Format on transparency report.
Covered that.
Covered that.
We'll bring a sample back at the next meeting.
Yeah. What the days?
Okay, minority and women business enterprise reporting through December 31st.
Okay. Sorry. Okay, so this is the Minority Women Enterprise, Business Enterprise Report for July. This is a, requirement actually of the state procurement code and therefore in our procurement code, since it must be substantially similar. It is a, twice a year reporting. So we are bringing forward, I think we brought back not too long ago, the through June 30, which was a very good report. I think we exceeded that 10% threshold, met or exceeded the 10% threshold this time, at that time, due to the contracts and services that we had being performed during that time. This one is from July 1st through December 31st of 2024. And so I am going to turn it over to Miss Kaylee Yinger, who is responsible for this report and does the tracking and all of the backup work behind it. So.
This is required for OE 6.2. Again, it is also required by our procurement code, that we report this semi-annually, and this period is from July 1 to December 31st, 2024. Our controllable budget did, increase significantly, compared to last, semi-annual report. So our 6-month figure is up, which means we have to spend more money, which, and if we're spending about the same, our percentage still goes down. So we had a 10% goal, and our goal was to spend around 14.6 million. The dollars expended with certified were only 513,000, which was 0.35%. And then non-certified MWBEs was 6.6 million, which was about 4.52%. So in total, we were little under 5%, when our goal is 10, but I think we well made up for that in the previous, part of the calendar year where we were, over 15%. We did 12 solicitations in that time. 4 were for, construction and or renovation. And our semi-annual minority expenditures were 401,000, and $111,648.39 were for semi-annual women MWBE expenditures, for a total of $513,017.99, for certified. We currently only, for this semi-annual report, only had 6 certified minority women business enterprise. We have many more non-certified, but, again, certified was only 6 that we used for this. There is a graph on the back that shows visual, the usage, versus our actual, or usage percentage versus the actual goal. And you can see that it fluctuates, quite a bit depending on what we have going on. And Ms. Crosby spoke to it last time. When construction is high, this number is high. That's where we get majority of our MWBE, participation. So, and again, in a conscious effort to acquire more minority and women owned businesses, this district has put in place. You can go to our website. It gives a detailed information of working with the district, how to work with us, and even a vendor handbook. We place all local ads in newspaper and do radio semi-annually, February and August, with information, proposed future projects. This past summer, we held a minority vendor fair, again, which we had more participation than we'd had in the past. We continuously reach out to different offices and people in the community to try and strengthen those connections. And also there's a significant outreach by CBRE Heary or Turner Townsend now, except for next report, and posting opportunities to our website. And the last part of the report is sole source and emergency. We did a sole source for MedTech 7 for professional development for OGAP math for $77,000. And then an emergency procurement were for the HVAC repairs this past summer. Tim split that between 2 companies in order to maximize repairs quickly and efficiently for AC.
Ms. Gordon, any questions, ma'am?
I'm trying to digest the numbers. And to me, with the amount of money that we spend out, it looks like we're still only below where we should be for the women businesses. So when you say certified position, contracts that were awarded. What do you mean by that?
Certified are those who are certified through the Small Business Administration, or SMBA. And then also Department of Transportation. So they can have a SCDOT certification. That means they've gone through and they've done all the financial prep work, all of the certification, all the classes. They've pretty much opened up their entire business to the state to come in and certify them as a minority women-owned business, minority or women-owned business. There's not many in this area. We did an extensive evaluation, and we do it probably almost every year or every 18 months where we go through. And most of them are located in Charleston and Columbia. And then if they're in Savannah, they don't count because they're not South Carolina certified because they're Georgia businesses. So trying to pull that business down here has been extremely difficult. Also, not a lot of people see the reward for becoming certified. We don't offer any preference. We're not allowed legally in South Carolina to offer any preference to minority women business, but we want them to be certified so that we can count them towards a goal that we have to have. So
What kind of businesses are they certified in?
we have some that are therapists. We have some that are mechanical engineers. Others that are consultants for larger firms that we work with, their construction companies, our contract management. They do goods, they do services, electrical, roofing, all kinds. But most of those are non-certified. The certified ones we have are pretty much an architect, a structural mechanic, and some consulting firms. That's the hard part. Applied data is not certified.
So we're gonna be having, we've been making some purchases in the last couple of months for laptop computers for students and staff. So the combination is millions of dollars that we'll be spending. The reason why we're doing it this early in the year is because of potential for tariffs coming up in the month of April or beyond. There's a potential there. So we're, the refresh is needed for this next school year, but we've already placed those orders. That is a women-owned business, woman-owned business. So although it's not certified, we'd still report it in our next 6-month report. So those numbers could go up substantially for that one purchase or those 2 purchases alone, that could assist, help us in our next 6 months as well.
It's difficult to track non-certified minority women business enterprises because you kind of have to go off of the information that they're giving you, that they're women-owned or minority-owned, when certified is actually documented. There's a state website.
I was listening to the report. Also, we do have some, I do believe that we do have some, African-American minorities, who have some trash companies and some other, heavy equipment companies in town that I don't see why, why they could not, even, have contracts with the district, because I've seen where they have contracts with places like Football. Some people have asked me about that, and in other various places in data, and I wouldn't see why we would not try to reach out and attract them as well. And in terms of help the numbers in the bottom line, because I'm looking for us more to support local businesses who are taxpayers in this community versus people who are out and in different areas. I try to level things with community members, but community members they do ask me about this, and I kind of I told them I was kind of waiting to see in terms of some of the stuff that's going on with the federal government and how things are going to start working. And actually, I was kind of wondering from what is being changed in the government, how does that affect us in terms of those words that they use? I don't even want to even use them, but I'm sure you get the drift of it. I don't want to give it any attention, but I am looking for us to possibly do reach out to somebody. We do have some larger businesses out here that who I believe that we could be doing business with, who are now a minority woman, could be a Caucasian white woman. I'm talking about other pockets of people who we should be reaching out to do business with, is my concern as an African American people. as well.
If you would be so kind as to forward my information, Mr. Dowse, has done the same thing with vendors. I will be responsive. They can reach out to me and I will point them in the right direction of where to register with us so
Right.
that they are notified as soon as an opportunity comes up to be able to participate in that procurement process, and see if it's be a viable contract with someone in the county.
Right, and also with the procurement, I've been learning within the procurement contact also, I mean, the procurement process also, the key thing I've learned is that it's really how the procurement, how the RFP is written. I'm going to, but I'm going to be taking some classes and learning because you got an RFP from my understanding can be written in terms of how someone that can be the determination whether someone gets or whether they don't get it, because that one thing you may have to be to have or that one certification that you may not have someone else may give them the edge up. So those are things that I'm learning that are edging some people off, and that we may need to may is entreating me to look further into what our RFPs are and when what they consist of, because that too is a very important tool moving forward for the district and partnering with the communities.
So I'd like to, if I may respond to that. So although, we're very interested in doing business with, members of the community, and that's why we advertise the way we do. But we don't know every vendor in the community. So we reach out to our Chamber of Commerce partners, the Black Chamber of Commerce partners as well. And every solicitation we have help us get outreach, and get more vendors to come in. So, but whether we really need them to contact us to say, please make sure that we are on the list when you have a trash disposal contract going out for bid, and then we will notify them of that if we know that this vendor is interested in a service or that with the school district. So we do need that notification and communication from the business owners as well. As far as writing the contract, the RFP, we write it the way we write it because we need a certain level, expect a certain level of quality service, and we don't want to lessen that, lower some of the requirements just because we want more, attract more people necessarily, but we have to have high quality product. And so we don't want to risk lowering that expectation and receiving the lower service by not having certain certifications or having a bid bond or various things like that. So there's certain expectations that we have of quality of that level, and we want to make sure that that RFP provides the narrative that it requires that level of service. So that's why we do what we do. So but we certainly will look at that. And we look at them every time we go out for bid. We review several of us, whether it's the CFO or the COO. We all are reviewing that scope of work very carefully and making sure that we are getting what we need for the school district. So just wanted to make that point for it today.
Can I follow up on that?
Yes, sir.
We've asked Ms. Hay, I think, right? Okay. So let me share a story with you. So about 15 months ago, shortly after I had joined the board, there was a presentation on this. And I looked at the numbers and the non-certified, certified, it's like, okay, yeah, we're making progress in the non-certified. And so I'm at the Parkers and I'm pulling up to get gas, and here comes this big dump truck. Oh, it looked like it was brand new. And out of that dump truck jumps a lady who is wheeling that 10-ton dump truck. And I'm so fascinated. Now I'm a little hesitant because you don't want to approach somebody scared of the bejeebers out of them, right? So you go up and say, hey, I'm with the school district, right? And I see you have a truck. And she says, yes. I said, well, who do you work for? She said, this is my truck. It was her truck. And so I said, well, we're looking for contractors. Who are you pulling for now? And she gave the name, but she said, I'm looking for more. And I said, boy, why don't you contact me and I'll refer you to, I referred to you, and you did a good job. So thank you for that. But come to find out, when she saw what it requires to become a certified person, she said, I don't have the time right now. So one of the things that took place on the Mr. Nave's meeting on Tuesday is to actually go out to where the contractors are. And I know you're already doing this, all right? And to circumvent your having to put so much effort into it. Angela DaCosta, who used to be the chief of staff for the regional director for Senator Tim Scott. She is now the director of minority business affairs for the state of South Carolina. So she is looking for people. We can connect you with her. And because she has funding, she has training programs. And so what Mr. Smith is looking to help people get qualified. To your point, we can't take people who are less than the standard. That basically is a negative for people who come in under that protocol. So we want it known, everybody who comes on and is accepted is qualified. And I think the outreach is the solution. So we'll work with you. And then the other thing, I made a note, we'll bring up at the board meeting that we want the board members, just as they're doing on other areas, to leverage their network. This gentleman here has a tremendous network. So let's request some specific names of companies, get that into you or whomever you assign, Madam CFO. And then, we'll do whatever we can to be the request of fellow board. Is that okay? Any other comments? Yes, ma'am.
I'm listening.
Sure.
I'm also going back to years when we have had this before us before to get minority owned businesses and what it takes to get it there. And it seems to me like the same issue comes up, the amount of paperwork or the details in that paperwork that deters them from becoming certified. So while as a board member, I don't know anything about getting a truck driver, or contractor, but I do know that if something seems to be hard and I have a company, but I don't have the time to go through all the paperwork and rigmarole that we require. And while I do not want to bring down anything when it comes to the safety and the kind of products that we put out there, I do think we may want to listen to these individuals about why they're not applying for certification. It might be just one line in that, application that's deterring them that we may be able to look at. But we need to talk to those people. Why doesn't she now have the time not to fill out this application? She can drive a 10-ton truck. She's super to me. But I think that we're not listening to the contractors and the vendors, what they're telling us in this minority report. This has been an issue for Beaufort County for quite some time. It's not just yesterday. And I commend you all for what you're doing. I commend us for wanting to step out and reach out. But I don't think Victor, Nate, or me could tell someone how to sit down with them, fill out that application.
Yeah, if I could I just fill up or follow up on
Yes,
that?
sir.
One of the things, the Hispanic Business Caucus had a meeting, and I attended that, the superintendent was a speaker. And so part of what the chair has asked us to do is be more available in the community, the board members. And that's where I learned that Ms. DaCosta has money and training programs to answer what Ms. Gordon is speaking of. So part of the challenge is to raise that visibility of those programs. So she has, like all of us, she has personal issues that, multitasking, she's growing her business. And so I think with those two, minority affairs for South Carolina, and then the Black Chamber, they too have training programs and funding. The Hispanic Business Caucus also has training. So if we can sort of form a triangular coalition among those three, I think it will help answer some of the comments that we're hearing, which are legitimate. Is that fair? Oh, you were going to say something, yeah.
There is information on how to apply on our website under the Working with the District, where we keep all of our vendor information. It is free, it's free for vendors to apply and register with us to get notification as soon as opportunities are available. And just to be clear, the requirements to become certified is a state application. It's not a district application. So more than happy to do what we can. Procurement's a little limited on how far they can reach before that line blurs.
You are, yep.
I should say.
Competitive.
Yeah, becoming the competitive of it and keeping things very unbiased. But I reach as far as I can, and with your help, it has been a lot easier. So I do appreciate that. I don't know if people need me until they let me know that they need me. So please share my information. I'll be more than happy to answer any vendor.
So at our next meeting, maybe we can come back with a collective recommendation of who to reach out to. All right, all the members here, people sitting here, and the board members, asking them to help in this area with specific names and companies. And then we can funnel that over to those three agencies. And maybe that will help lighten the load on people who are out there who already have started, but they don't know that there are two government layers, federal and state, that are supporting them, as well as school districts. So now let me talk about, if I may.
That was the key point that you made, because actually the lady from the the people from the trash Mr. and Mrs. Lady who from the trash company, they had talked to I think y'all did something at the Black Chambers. So I think they were already a part of it or something, and they kind of, what Mrs. Gordon had touched on now is kind of basically how they felt, and what I just said. I didn't want to put it out there, but that's just what that was the feeling of it, is kind of like, it's, yeah, but they did engage at the chamber.
So there's a continuation after the chamber presentations. We just got to get people to know that and sign up for it.
Right.
So probably in terms of communication with Dr. Bruder, maybe we can develop some outreach messaging, let people know. So let me just put the caveat to that, where I was going. Monday, the U.S. Department of Agriculture cut $1 billion. $1 billion. Monday. Now, Madam CFO and Madam Director of Internal Controls showed where at this point, correct me if I'm wrong, ma'am, at this point, there are $27 million that flow into this particular school district. That if everything goes as it's being said coming out of Washington, that too is probably going to vanish. So one of the things we have to do as an organization is proactively start looking at how do we tighten our belt. If that 27 million vanishes, and is there more that's hidden in, our 360 some million dollar operating budget that we have to, basically replace. So we just want to helicopter up and look at what the potential issues are. And I applaud all of you for thinking that way. And so we sail through rough seas if they come. They may not come, but if they come. Anything else on this particular topic? Ms. Hay, you okay?
Yes, I am. I'd just like to add food for thought.
Please.
Everyone's comments obviously are valid. A lot of small business owners, the bottom line up front would be not trying to stick a round peg into a square hole, or however that term goes. A lot of business owners love being in business for themselves because they don't have to meet certain requirements larger entities would require them to have, meaning they can function on their own schedule, their own time frame. They can change their schedule when they'd like to. There's a whole layer of flexibility there that is honestly why most people go into business for themselves in the first place. So I just ask that people be understanding of that. because we think we have something great to provide them, or almost I get this sense of like, let the school district rescue you by allowing you to work for us, but they may not see it that way. They may not want to be a larger business. They may enjoy their flexibility. And also sometimes when you are rejected in business, the kindest way for people to give a rejection is, I don't have the time. I'm sorry, I can't take on this contract or whatever it may be. Because that's their nice way of either saying, you can't pay me enough, or I foresee that you're going to have me nailed down to a schedule that isn't, doesn't work for me or my employees. It's just, there are a lot of factors there for small businesses. And like I said, everyone's comments are valid, and it doesn't mean don't keep trying. It's just in sales and business, you really learn, to take rejection as you go. And I've always been a huge believer as well. I go by a phrase, rejection's God's protection. If the person doesn't want to sign on with the district, perhaps they're saving us from a headache down the road as well. So just know, everybody may not be fit to be in contract with us. People may not want to be in contract with us. I just would like to throw that out there for people to keep in mind.
Well said, Ms. Hay, and very apropos. I think the way that we're talking is supportive of what you're saying. And I think what it will do if we bring in potential businesses and there's an outreach effort and they say no, now we have accumulated a database of outreach points that we've tried. So no one can question whether or not we've tried. But again, this may all end soon. So let's put the
Well,
effort
and
forward.
perhaps we track, similar to sales, you have a funnel and people may say no today, but perhaps we track the no and what the reason was for saying no, and then funnel it into, hey, check back with them in 6 months.
Your sales expertise is showing, Ms. Hay. That's a
So
big part.
I'm just saying, it doesn't help to just say no and then walk away. We should just keep tracking all of the businesses and, what their rejection reasoning is, so that maybe down the line, maybe they change their mind, or maybe they get certified for a different reason, and then it's easier for them to say yes.
Okay, Madam CFO.
Sir, those are great points, and I wanted to add one more particular thing that's usually, it could be a deterrent for smaller companies when we have larger contracts in the district: equipment purchases. So a grounds maintenance company would need a fleet of lawnmowers and weed eaters. A trash disposal company would need large trash disposal collection vehicles and the bins to go with them. That's a large investment on their part. Custodial needs the scrubbers and the waxers and the mops and those sorts of things in order to do their work. So sometimes there are very large investments that have to occur of equipment on the front end of a contract if a company's not already at a level. So that's sometimes that could be a deterrent as well. Because many of our contracts do require large pieces of equipment in order to function. So just thought I'd throw that in there as a possible reason as well that could be valid.
And if I could just tag on, please don't take this questioning and suggestions as any view that we're not doing everything. You've done everything, every person I've referred to you.
Yeah.
So appreciate that. And there's been several. But I think by putting in the best effort, which you already doing, we're just brainstorming here, then it may be, as Ms. Hay is saying, things that we can say, okay, well, we presented this person, they didn't want to make the investment or what have you. So thank you for a candid conversation. Everybody okay so far? All right. The next one is board stipend.
I'm ready for that.
I know you are. And he should be. He's the one that brought it up.
Smith brought this one up. At a past meeting, we were having a stipend, conversation at a board meeting. So, after that meeting, I did a little research and started finding individual, rates of individual boards, and I thought there has got to be a better way to do this. So, as one of the, I think it was actually AI pointed out to me that the local school board association had reported that, these are the school board members' pay. And I thought, oh, well, they probably already have a compilation of everyone's across the state. So let me email someone up there. Immediately emailed the School Board Association, said, do you have a listing, a compilation of school board pay across the state of South Carolina? And within an hour, I had a response with this beautiful one-page document that was actually just created in July. So I thanked him greatly for the saving me a whole lot of work, and was able to come up with this this document. Since then, Ms. Phillips saw an article where at one of the Anderson school districts, I believe it's 5, they're no longer in the no pay category. They have recently voted to actually pay their board members, some of which have declined the payment, others are donating the payment, and some are keeping the payment because it may conflict with their jobs, their primary job as well. So just wanted you to know that there's at least one change to this at, I believe, Anderson 5. The other document I've provided is an ordinance from the Beaufort County Council. Ms. Brock of the County Council, the clerk to council, provided me with an ordinance. I had recalled that a few years ago the council had consolidated their pay and had increased that. And this ordinance reflects that change back in, it appears 2020, August of 2020. So this is just for your information and discussion. And I'll be happy to take any questions. I'm not sure if I'll have any answers for you, but I can certainly, do the research and look to help you in any way we can.
Ms. Gordon?
I'm sorry. I was able to look at this, and I appreciate looking at the board pay across the state. And I also looked at, I think is it our county council payment that
Yeah.
Smith was just showing that to me. I'm with Mr. Dallas on watching out and being careful about our spending right now, with the way things are going in our government, and especially looking at the way they're cutting education and other federal programs that they give to us. So while I'm for a stipend increase of some sort, I would like to really look at what we're increasing and why we're increasing and how much we'll be increasing if we do decide to. I'm perfectly okay with where I am right now. I do see where I think our county council is at 28,000, something like that.
26 something, if I recall correctly.
988.
And we're nowhere near that. Nowhere near that. So just my question about, where are we in this process, and how do we get there, and asking this community to support us getting a stipend, or us in our good hearts, knowing that we're working hard enough to get a stipend. So I appreciate the information. Thank you.
Thanks.
Ms. Hay is where she can't speak, but she typed in, she says, I'm headed into an area where I'm not permitted to speak on a cellular device. I am not in favor of raising our stipends for some of the following reasons. 1, civic duty. 2, I see this as a community service. 3, constituents are struggling to buy groceries. And I'm not going to ask them to pay, trying to get it up. I'm not going to ask them to pay us more, for this will impact the community's opinion of us as we move forward along the fiscal autonomy. I am a no.
Okay,
I can still text but cannot speak. We're not county council, so we're not county council, so I'm unsure where we're comparing ourselves to them.
okay, so should we should this committee vote on it?
I don't think so. I don't think we have enough information from even our colleagues to say that we should vote on whether or not we get an increase or not. But county council, if I'm memory serves me correct, they're also elected officials. So in some ways, there is a comparison. I think there's 11 of them. Memory serves me, but either way, I think that as a board collectively, I think it would be the end of this month at a work session. And maybe we should take it there and give them a couple of weeks to look at whether or not they think we should even address this particular issue. There are some valid points in what Ms. Hay said, but those are always there. Feeding people. Some people don't make as much money as we make. And so they're all kind of variables, and it depends on what you stand for, what you believe in. I don't question it. I just think we need to maybe wait until 2 more weeks and bring it to discussion to the board and let them marinate a little bit.
Ask Ms. Hay, would she like to vote on? What's her position on that?
Why would she go to, assume that, yeah, it's gonna be fine.
She can hear, she just can't, she'll just
Right.
have to text. So you can ask, she can hear.
Ask her, would she, as with 3 board members, committee members?
She says we can wait for the full board.
Okay, all right. Yes, Mr. Smith.
Well, bringing this up, with us also within the last, I guess I'm going to my seventh year on this board. We've kind of, we have not had a raise within the time that I've been on the board, and I've seen where we've given I believe where we've given the superintendent a raise. I believe that we've given staff a raise. So at some point in time, you do have to take care of people who take care of you. And I think it would be unjust, because some of us do spend time here. We do put hard work in this, right? And if we want people to take time off from their regular jobs, where they're feeding their families, their board members, in terms of work sessions and things like that, when they take time off their job, they have to put that income back. And regardless of how this, some people may say this may be a service to where you want to do charity or whatever, then Cal said, you don't want the money. You take this story, just like write to Ms. Crosby and tell Ms. Crosby, hey, give it to the Red Cross, do whatever you want to do, or write off the tax. So but do be mindful that there are other people who make sacrifices who are here and who do put work in. Versus some may say they come when it's convenient. I mean, so it's really upon where you see that you put the work in, and as Mrs. Gordon said county council don't do. I believe that this board here that's active with some of us are this board. I believe that we put just much or more time in than county council. I won't say I won't even go in and start comparing us to who all put time in, because this is our passion, this is what we love doing, and we spend a lot of time here, and we put a lot of time into this, and we carry these phones around to have for people to have access to us 24/7. So I mean, at the end of the day, to me, I don't believe that we've had one in a while. When we look across the board, when we look across the board, we look at our other colleagues and other government elected positions. I think that we are definitely far behind. and the cost of living in Beaufort ain't cheap. So when we give, there's a reason why we give teachers and district employees stipends to keep up. Then I believe it's only right that we give board members some of those same rights. Thank you.
Okay, so everybody's had a chance to weigh in. So I'll state my position now. I don't think it's the right time. I was hoping we would vote on it. I think it will be unanimous. No, not to bring it even to the big board. You look at all the things that's happening in our country where so many people are losing jobs. I think when people are losing jobs, it'd be probably a negative if we're in the midst of that or raising hours. So I too would say if we discuss it at the board, no problem. I think it would be more forceful if we voted and it said no. But the three of us have spoken, and so I'm happy. But I don't think now's the right time to do it. I think it's wait a year or two and see what happens. Okay, we don't know where this thing's going to end up. Is that okay with everybody? Okay. Yes.
Saying that we're not gonna take this to the board in 2 weeks, that
No.
we're gonna wait a year or two?
What I'm saying is, when we take it to the board, I'm going to voice that I think now is not the right time.
Okay.
And just being transparent, so no one's surprised by actions that I take. And it's, when I look at this, which I did pretty rigorously, there are only a couple that actually have rates that are pretty egregious and exceed ours. So the only one is Ori, which is paying their board members $16,000 a year, right? Now, I think we also have to look at, the chair has amended the stipends, protocols, for meeting attendance. So the more meetings we attend, the more we'll get paid. And there's encouragement to actually go out. So I think he's been able to come to a solution to, without, basically running the risk of negative perceptions in the community.
Elizabeth added, we can wait for full board. We all ran knowing this was the stipend. If you do the math, our stipend is pretty on point with the rest of the state.
Mhm. Did she hear our last comment? So,
Yes.
okay, good. All right. Anything else?
She says, yes, sir, thank you.
You ask about future topics.
No,
She here?
she was answering your question about, did she hear your comments?
Okay,
She's
good.
saying, yes, sir, thank you.
Okay. All right, future topics?
And no future.
I would have a future topic, and in terms of moving into the budget season, I would like to know, in terms of teachers across the district, what that costs the district. Administrators across the district, and in terms of compartmentalizing, compartmentalizing administration, coaches, academic coaches, sports, just all of that, because there are some areas where some people have told me that they are wondering, are we cutting in different places versus others, and what does it cost us as a whole, and have we looked at that? And so I think that those are some understanding the breakdown. I believe that they may already have those breakdowns, but prior to us getting further into budget season, I would like to know some of those things going into budget season, and being able to digest that and chew that up and see what that looks like. So I mean, I think the better is compartmentalizing and seeing across the district. What is this? What is it? It's costing us. I think that would be very it'd be pertinent.
Okay, so noted. Yes, ma'am.
I would prefer to put it in the budget presentation
Okay.
coming up on March 28th. So we'll put a slide, a couple slides on that particular piece of information. We, in the past, maybe not recent past, but we've estimated some costs of what the increases might look like in some of the areas as well. We don't know the full picture yet, but we can certainly provide current costs of what
current budgets of what teacher salaries, coaches, admin support, and academic coaches.
Okay,
At the 28.
Ms. Gordon?
In that report that you're giving us, excuse me, I know that some of our schools there were decrease in teachers.
Mhm.
So you allocated for 50 teachers, but you only have 42.
Mhm.
Where does that other eight, those 8 teachers, monies or salaries, is it still in the budget? Or did you move that money to something else? So I want to know, where's that money?
Okay.
For the teachers that we are missing in the district. I think Ms. Walton said 70 or 67 teachers or something. That's a lot of money.
And I'm sorry, go ahead.
We
ma'am.
typically budget for slippage as well, so we take that into consideration when we're budgeting, in most cases. So.
Thank you.
Good point. Is Ms. Hayes still on?
She said no future topics.
Okay, all right. Unless there's something else?
I have a couple of
Sure.
future topics.
Okay.
In addition to the normal standard reports, I do have, a few years ago, I brought forward, a provision to a board policy, and that is the fund balance policy. It's OE5, and I have, it was referred to policy committee, and the policy committee, either didn't meet or didn't take action on it and then dissolved. And then we had the new board. So it was really, it kind of died. No action was taken on the policy recommendation. But I'd like to bring that back forward for this committee.
By all means.
And there will be no change needed in the actions of us building towards the budget going forward. As a result of that, it will only solidify the assumptions we make and the actions that we take in the next budget. So
Okay,
follows in line very well with the budget process as well.
sounds good. Any other? Yes, sir.
And also, that this has changed in the last couple of years that, if you have received a check that are steady contacting the district, you would have to contact the state now. And I kind of want to know when did that policy take place and where's it at in our policy to, that's the process. Because that's very important. That's very important. And also, we won't have current staff members who may have had a situation like that. Or what does that look like, and how tedious is that? And can we save staff time from having to apply to the state? So I just want to know where's that at, and what does that look like? I think that's
We can't discuss
yeah, that's
that. Next.
yeah.
No problem. Okay, any others? All righty. Well, unless there's opposition, we can adjourn this one by what you call it, unanimous consent. Done.